What's up? Welcome back to another market live stream. Today is August 17th, 2025. So I had one trade Friday of last week. This is the trade we have in front of us here, Euro Yen short. And if we go back in time here just a second to move the pivot. We talked about this trade my Thursday watch list that I was watching it. And I guess actually I took this Thursday night. Yeah, took this Thursday night. I've been watching it most of the day, kind of develop. I liked the overall price action. The 4 hour was kind of meh to me, but I liked the 1 hour price action. I liked that it was still kind of within the fib levels. I liked pretty much everything about it minus the 4 hour. So I was watching this trend kind of develop on the 2 minute time frame here. If I blow this up. So the first potential entry was this break here of this kind of trend. But that was getting late in the day before market rollover. And I don't like to trade at this point. If memory serves me right. Yeah, it was like 11, 12 o'clock my time-ish. But I watched this kind of like upward trend develop for the remainder of the day. And then in the evening, Thursday night, it gave an entry. So I took it. And it went pretty much just fell to target. I did execute 3 stages in my management plan. So P1 was executed roughly on the initial breakdown, which would have been the breakdown past the 10-minute EMA up here. So on the break of that 10-minute, I went to P1, which essentially I clipped the high up here, removing a considerable amount of risk. I think at this point I had 0.4 or so risk still on the table. When price continued even further and was pretty much approaching my 1-to-1 area, at this point I just went ahead and moved it to P2. So I moved my stop to clipping this kind of high on the 2 minute right here. So price kind of pulls back a little bit and then just a follow through. So I clip that high, locking in a little bit, probably like 0.3 or so worth of profit. And then I started to watch this kind of triangle pattern develop and price start to decelerate right at my 1-to-1. Oops. So I was sitting here and I was watching this kind of develop, slow down, slow down, slow down. So on this second, which realistically, if you went to a 30-second time frame, and blow it up down here, it had tested this level now. This is the 4th time, right? So in my mind, it's either going to break below this level and continue in the direction that I'm wanting it to go, or it's going to start a pullback on me. And then I have a decision to make now. Do I want to hold the pullback or not? And given the fact that I hadn't made any profit for the week yet, and I have a profitable trade in front of me, my main goal was to capture whatever profit I could here. So at this point, when it's testing it for the fourth time, I went to P3, which usually for me is to lock in 1-to-1. But I use it to lock in about 0.75 or so by clipping the recent high. And my thought process behind this is like it's either going to stay in this triangle and eventually break down, or it's going to start a reversal. So it eventually breaks the triangle, comes up. My stop was positioned slightly above the 2-minute EMA right here. And it wicked up, tapped my stop, and obviously retraced back down to that same level again for the 5th time. And then price again pushed back up and would have tapped the stop that time as well. So there's the potential I could have captured 1R on this trade by continuing to hold. But I really wasn't interested in holding a pullback at this point, because the way I was looking at it is if price did decide to pull back on a 2-minute, then of course it's pulling back on the 10-minute to retest the EMAs like what we have here, right? Like this kind of deeper pullback and then a follow through. And I was not interested in holding this pullback at this point. So I went ahead, just locked the profit that I could for the week and closed the trade for 0.76R. So I think I could have played the same, the trade the exact same of how I did, but adjusted my position size some, because the other thing I was thinking about as I'm sitting here and I'm watching price kind of decelerate in this triangle form is price has already moved essentially 50 pips, which is a lot in Forex market for price to move 50 pips. So if price has already moved 50 pips, and if I had position sized this a little tighter, so realistically, if I had positioned this, say 25 pip stop instead of 50, 25, I'm still protected above the horizontal support. I'm still above 0.618, right? I'm still able to execute P1 and take off about half risk or so. But I think this would have been a better position size. I was position sizing for a 2-to-1 to the lows. I could have position sized for a 4-to-1 to the lows. 4-to-1 of the lows would have exited here for, 1.5, 1.6, something like that. So realistically, I think I was a little wide on my stop for this trade. So either way, profitable trade, money for the week. After this trade, I didn't really trade. I mean, there wasn't any other trades I took. The only thing that got close was Kiwi dollar, but I've already deleted my watch list from Thursday night. So, but it didn't really present like a valid entry. It was kind of a tap and go situation. And then it would have only closed for maybe 0.3R or so by the end of the day. So wasn't really much. For tonight, for the watch list, I don't have a whole lot. I have one pair on watch, which is essentially this euro pound. And we can get it off replay here. Is this euro pound trade. It's an IBO, so kind of an initial breakout. It has this trend line here that's works on the 4-hour and the 1-hour. That it's breaking, but not like a great break, but it is broken, but it's kind of sketchy. The 4-hour on it is also a little sketchy here. I mean, it's kind of bouncing off the 4-hour 200. If we get a pullback now to the pivot, 0.382, all the EMAs, the levels we want to trade off of on the 1-hour. So there's potential here to still play this to the 4-hour 50, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. But also you could say it's rejecting this area now and that we're going to have a continuation. So this is where this is, the 4-hour feels a little trappy. But the daily is nice. I mean, the daily you're bouncing off of the daily EMA of a nice strong bullish candle here. So it looks good. Daily candle wise, you have everything that you need to really take a trade. The 1-hour looks good. You do have a break of this overall trend line. You have a higher high of like this low here coming back for a retest. So it has potential, but the 4-hour does feel a little trappy. And I think this has potential to trade off of either an IBO, so playing a wave 3 play back to the 4-hour 50, or potentially playing a wave 2 kind of pull back down to 0.382 and the 1-hour 50. So that's why I have 2 alerts set on this. So essentially this is a pound week bias is what I'm trading. And then I have all of these pound pairs still on watch from the week prior. And a lot of these have that same kind of bias to them. They need breakdowns is the thing. So if euro pound, if this trade plays out, if it pulls back, gives an entry to go long on euro pound, it's pound being weak. And all these other trades, essentially, if they play out, it'll be pound being weak. So if these are to break down, then it's pound weakness. which should push euro pound from just correlation. So I have 3 of these marked as orange. These orange ones are, to me, more like they're at a crossroads. They're either going to explode upwards and kind of nullify themselves a little bit, or they're going to break down sometime today and be setups for tomorrow or later today or something. I'm still really watching this pound cat. It's probably my favorite of the bunch. It's been decelerating relatively nicely right here on this 1 hour. So a breakdown, a pullback, retest, like it'd be a picture perfect IBO if we get one. If we get a breakdown. So most of these are labeled in orange will be picture perfect IBOs if they just get a breakdown at some point today. So, and that's pretty much how all the pound pairs look. Like they're all just kind of waiting for breakdowns. I mean, there's the potential to trade some of these as like breakout plays, but I prefer to wait for the breakdown personally at this point. And then I also have a couple of euro pairs on development watch. These kind of need a good bit before they'll be ready for anything. The random CAD pair needs a good bit. And then again, I'm still watching this dollar HUF and dollar ZAR that we talked about last week, just because they're daily wise are at these interesting, levels at this point that's been holding relatively well. So I'm not too keen for taking like an IBO on this, but I would like to see like price push from here past the 50 and 200 and really past the 4 hour 50, and then give me a pullback someplace above that. And then I'd take it like this. It's really what I'm looking for on these dollar HUF and dollar ZARs. So, but if we got to break out upwards from this level, they'd be picture perfect CBOs. So there's potential for this week to be some really quality trades. Tonight, I don't really see much besides maybe this euro pound. Could be the first pound to present a trade. If this plays out, then these other pounds should present trades afterwards. So, yeah. Either way, that's all I got. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.